Make 2024 awesome. Now you've watched video 1. This is the second video where I'm going to give you 3 life hacks to build on that goal setting process, build on your motivation and start to really dial in you as a high performance human to make you as awesome as humanly possible. So hack number 1 is your hydration protocol. Now it's like this really boring topic that everyone's like, yeah, I need to drink more water and I drunk, too much alcohol or whatever. And it's like, but it's really important to basic optimal cognitive function and of course physical performance. But the brain is the first thing to suffer when it comes to a lack of optimal hydration. Now, one man that you might have seen talk about this very prolifically on social media for a while now is Andrew Huberman, and this sort of understanding around the power of electrolytes has become extremely prominent over the last couple of years, probably over the last year. And there's a key reason that's not being discussed. Now, when we drink water, most of us drink tap water, and tap water's essentially had everything stripped out of it. So there's no minerals in tap water. Now, to optimally hydrate a cell, and that's like your body sucking up that bit of water, you want electrolytes in it or minerals, and that helps the body use it. If you drink a lot of tap water, you'll quite often find that you go to the toilet more than if you drink water with minerals on it, because your body more effectively hydrates. So there's been this train of thinking of supplementing with electrolytes in your daily drinking water for optimal hydration, especially first thing in the morning. But what people aren't discussing is the why. I want you to know the why, because I don't want to sit here and go, hey, buy some of our electrolytes to stay hydrated. And you're like, guys, just selling some stuff. But I'm selling you something, potentially, based on an inefficiency of how we're hydrating ourselves. So for me, what I want you to do with life hack number 1 today is look at your hydration protocol. And I use myself as an example because I can imagine many of you are like me. You want to be high performing, you want your brain to function, you're into physical activity. So this is how I look at it. Firstly, you have a hydration need for your body weight. So take your body weight in kilos and times it by 30. And that's roughly the amount of fluid that you need every day. And then when you exercise, you basically add fluid on top. For most people, it's between 500 mils and 1,000 mils every hour, depending on the activity. And if you are exercising intensely, you definitely will, in my professional opinion as a performance nutritionist, want to supplement with electrolytes, and you can find the protocols on the back of the packet. Now, with that need, you can then dilute that into how you want that to formulate itself in your daily drink. So first thing in the morning, if you don't drink mineral water, I would get your tap water and put probably like 1/3 of a scoop of electrolytes that you would usually use for exercise into a big glass, mix it up and then drink it. And what I want you to do is notice the difference from what you were doing before and what you do now with electrolytes. Then you might want to look to put that into other drinking water. Again, you only need a little bit. Alternatively, if you didn't like the idea of that, you could just use salt, like sea salt or rock salt, because it has minerals in it. And again, just a little pinch is going to help add electrolytes to your drinking water, again, because they're not in the water that we drink. And then you can add to that tea, coffee, like other drinks, and make up your daily hydration. Now, within that, I want to talk about tea and coffee. I think they're very important and they're quite often overly used. Now, because people exercise a lot, and I can imagine you exercise a fair bit watching this video, we quite often have a lot of caffeine in the diet. Now, caffeine is something that we have to be wary of because caffeine stays in the blood for a good 6 to 8 hours. So if you're having caffeine at like 5, 6 p.m. before you go to the gym, that might be a reason why your sleep isn't as optimal as it can be. So we want to look at timing and overall volume. More caffeine isn't necessarily a good thing for the brain. And I personally find that a lot of people get better cognitive performance of having more tea rather than coffee because of the theanine in it. And again, you're seeing that a lot on social media at the moment, talking about theanine, and that is naturally occurring in tea. So you might start to swap out a coffee and swap in a tea, and see the cognitive benefit of that. I personally drink mostly water throughout the day. I have a cup of tea around 90 minutes to 2 hours after waking. And again, that's kind of evolved research that we're seeing at the moment where the adrenal system isn't really up and running first thing in the morning. So hydrating properly and then leaving your caffeine use for kind of later on seems to be a good way to go. But with all of these protocols, just try them. Like, try it. Like, if leaving caffeine a little bit later in the day, you're seeing a benefit, then stick with it. If you're not and you want your morning coffee, then go for it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it is a should and a must, because you should experiment and find what works for you. And then as the day progresses, the fluids might contain like proteins. I might have a protein shake. I quite like our protein, awesome protein mixed up as a hot chocolate. And then you might factor in your hydration drinks and other drinks in and around exercise. And that then wants to make up your total, which is your body weight in kilos times 30. So that's hack number one. Get your new hydration protocol on point. And if it makes you accountable to it, put it all in a big liter bottle. You might be using Awesome Power, which is a blend of creatine and beta-alanine. Then you can put your scoop or 2 scoops in a big water bottle and carry that around throughout the day. Maybe put a third of electrolytes in that as well, so you're getting some minerals in that drinking bottle as well. So that's hack number one. Get your nutrition protocol straight and get your physical and mental performance on point. So hack number 2 is all about your routine when it comes to nutrition and supplementation. We have to be organized with this, otherwise we're not going to reach performance goals, body composition goals, and we're not going to have good energy. So what does your weekly food shop look like? And then what does your daily nutrition intake look like? Are you planning for it? So whether it's the night before, first thing in the morning, what are you eating today? Do you know how many calories you need? And in my experience, a huge amount of people don't track their calorie intake, but are not happy with their body composition. Well, sometimes we've got to do a bit of work to bridge that gap and understand what's in our diet so we can get that effect. So if you've never done a period of calorie tracking, I would recommend that you do it, because you're going to start to understand your diet better. So first thing in the morning, what are you eating? Why are you eating it? Is it balancing your energy? What snacks are coming later on in the day? Lunch, snack in the afternoon, dinner, whatever that might be. Get really organized with it and make sure you're evolving it. Most people don't enjoy eating healthy over time because they eat the same meals. They've got this like little Rolodex of healthy meals, and then when they're bored of them, they don't add to it. You've got to keep building your healthy meal recipe book kind of repertoire so you can keep your diet interesting and you're enjoying healthy food on and on and on and on, rather than just getting bored of it and going back to what you might have been eating, which might not be optimal. Now, the third life hack is sleep. Now, I know you know this, so I'm going to kind of swerve the really basic advice of like get in bed on time, all of that kind of stuff. Now, do make sure you are committing to a bedtime where you can get 7 to 8 hours sleep per night. But on top of that, there's so many little micro things that make a difference when it comes to sleep. So making sure the room's dark, making sure the room's cool, making sure your bed's comfortable, making sure you try to go to bed at a similar time every night so you kind of get into that rhythm. But some recent things that I've personally experimented with a lot, which I thought I'd let you know about because I wear an Oura ring and I've been able to track this a lot more recently, is when you eat before you go to bed. So I have seen, and the research supports this, because I was looking at it this morning, that if you eat like 3 hours before bed or before that, your heart rate variability comes down quite a bit. Your digestion is a lot slower because the blood in your body is not, in your stomach digesting your food, and you'll find you'll get a much deeper sleep having eaten a lot earlier, which is contrary to many fitness kind of narratives where you want to be eating protein regularly, and quite often there's a protein feeding before bed. That might not be optimal for sleep depth, and that is what we want: nice, deep sleep. Then there's alcohol. Alcohol is a big one on optimal performance. If you want to perform optimally, alcohol should be very low in your weekly kind of overall calorie intake. And if you are going to have it, again, 3-4 hours before bedtime, any closer and it seems to disrupt sleep. But for me, when I'm working with anyone on a high performance level, sleep has to be the thing that we dial in and get as consistent as possible. It's not always easy. Life stress, kids, work, it can get in the way, but we've got to protect it as much as humanly possible. Getting 1-2 nights bad sleep a week, we can make do with that. But if it starts to become 3-4 nights a week, then it's going to become a problem and we're not going to be performing at the level that we want to. And sleep is that foundational. If you were to wear any kind of tracker, you'll start to see those stats and how they affect your mood and performance. And it affects so much the next day. It affects how we eat, how we think, how we behave with other people, everything. So to recap, hack number 1 is looking at your hydration protocol. Hack number 2 is making sure you're supremely organizing your nutrition, you know what you're doing and how you're doing it. And the third one is your sleep routine and some of the nuances of getting a great night's sleep. If you've got any questions on any of these, then drop us a message on social media. We're always here to help. And I'll see you in a week for 3 more high performance hacks.